Morning, everybody. Welcome back to Sawmill. My name's Bill. This is Pirate Solutions Forestry, and I'm sitting on top of a monster. We got a big order yesterday afternoon for trailer decking for a pretty good size trailer. And it's got some challenges to it. He had been getting some prices on ordering wood from overseas. They were considering doing it with ePay. And the price on the decking was over $15,000. So when we priced it out at $3 a board foot for black oak, came out to about $1,300. And he went, holy crap, that's what we're doing. The deck we're replacing was very poorly installed. They did it with 8-inch material, put one screw in the middle of each board, and the deck peeled like a potato chip in a lot of different places. We're going to do it with 6-inch material. He's going to have 2 screws in every board and every cross member. And he's the type of guy that's even going to put cross members in where he thinks they need them. So it's going to hold together much better. They're also going to treat it with whatever they decide to treat it with. And it's going to stay together and last a ton longer than the deck that was on there. He's also redoing the ramps and stuff like that. And I'm going to take you and show you the plan and why we're cutting this log. Now, this black oak log is 27 across the butt here. So it barely fits for clearance. Obviously, once we take our top cut and roll it 90 degrees, all our clearance issues go away. But we have got some 14-foot material that we need across the entire deck. And I've got a bunch of big, beautiful black oak logs out back that are 1311, and that doesn't work. So my issue is I've only got really, I think, 2 logs that cover the 14 feet, this being one of them. I think this will cut all of the 14-foot material. I believe that we need 18 boards. We should get all 18 out of this. The good part about this log is it's going to eat up the board footage of this trailer in a hurry. Now, we also have boards that are just less than 12. So there is going to be a little bit of cutoff on these. It'll give us some flexibility to cut the ends off them for that. Hopefully we're going to get a bunch of that material too. And I believe that this one log is going to do much more than half of the entire order. And then we can pull a small log to cut for the little pieces in the back and the ramps that he's going to build. We also already have, after we cut Paul Hunt's trailer, we already have some 2x6s over in the pile. I think there are 4 10-footers over there. So that's also going to cover some of the ramps. And when I show you the plan, I'll show you how I'm going to tag everything for him. He's very excited about having everything tagged so he knows where it goes. But our first job is to buck this down to 14.6. So that's what we're going to do, and we'll get at it here. Also, Josco's coming out to pick up his saw. I did do a factory reset on that saw yesterday. It does have a reset procedure. There are 2 different steel reset procedures depending on what era saw that you have. And he has the earlier one. The earlier one is much more simple and much less intrusive. And it went through that fine. It's running great. So Josco is coming out to pick that up. But let's get this thing bucked down. And we're going to have to be very careful about how we put this on the sawmill. Obviously, it's big and heavy and can smash into stuff really easy if it gets rolling. So most of the time with logs like this, I do it with the tongs hanging off the bucket, but I think I'm going to try to do it with the forks. Hopefully we can manage that, and we'll get to cutting this apart. All right, so we get it up there. I do have to raise that end up a little bit. And I'll give you a look at what we're up against here. So this may not make sense to some of you, but this is the basic trailer layout. And you can see this section here all the way across is 14 foot, and at 6-inch pieces, there's going to be 4, 8, and 6. So I think there should be 14 here across here. To fill this in, we're going to try to cut them at 6 1/8 because they're weird widths. You know, you could just cut them at 6 and leave gaps. And then you got 11'8" section here, 4'7" fantail, and then 2 ramps that he's modifying to be hydraulic that are covered with metal right now. This is covered with metal too. He's taking all the metal off and going to replace it all with wood. All right, so we got it leveled up. We've got it clamped down. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get myself a little quick guide on here. We're going to try to get a 12-inch cant out of this and blow it in half. Actually, it's going to end up being 12 1/4. So looking at 9 3/4 is the center this way. And then I'm going to go 6 and 6 1/8. This is just a general guideline. 6 1/8. Sure, that's 6. Yep. And then we'll do up and down. I'm measuring inside the bark. So it's like 18 1/2, 9 1/4. Stick it on 10. Go to 4. 6 5 4. It's hard to see sometimes. Got to make sure you do the 1/8 on the other side of that too. I got to make sure I did that over here. Yeah. And then we'll stick it on 10. We'll come down to 16 and 1/8. So right now, it doesn't look like we're going to have any problem getting a 12-inch cant out of this, or 12 1/4. And it's not actually going to end up being a cant. What it'll end up being is it'll end up being cutting 3 sides, setting our width, and splitting it in half, and then milling it out at whatever it gives us. Right now, there is not a lot of bonus wood in this. There could be. I'm still going to take my jacket cuts at 1.5 inches, which is what all the material needs to be. I'll take all my jacket cuts at 1.5 inches, and maybe we can get some shorter boards out of them after they're edged off. Maybe they won't be full length, but they could be shorter. My priority right now is I have to cover the 14-foot dimension. That dimension needs to be covered first before anything else gets cut, because I have plenty of logs to cut the rest of the trailer. Also, as you saw in the video, I had to cut that 4-inch slab in half. Thatcher Smith actually bought that slab too. So right now we're looking good. We got a little bit of clearance down here, a teeny little bit of wane right here. This is cut at 14.6. I can see the bump out on the log, so this will be no problem. So our job right now is to come down to this line, see if we can steal 1.5 inch board above it, somewhere in there. We're going to spin it up. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to come down to this line. We're going to see if we can steal 1.5 inch flitch here. We will spin it over, set our width, and see if we can steal 1.5 inch flitch here. And then we'll end up with this side facing up, and we will split this in half and then mill right down through the whole thing. We could have, well, this is where they're going to meet. So this is the best way to look at it. You know, if I tried to cut this, say, to 6 inches flat here, there'd be a bunch of wane on these. So this is the safest way to do it. Also, it gives me the option, in case there's some sort of weird spot in the log somewhere, I could take the cant in a different direction if I have to, as long as I make this cut here, which is just 6 1/8 out from the center. I can make my cant a different way and cut it a different way. So that's just there for a visual guide for me. And I've got a brand new Stella Cut band on, not brand new. I've got the same Stella Cut band on that we've been cutting with. It's been cutting great. I'm going to cut with that. Tomorrow we get some walnut logs coming in the mill for a customer, and I'll probably put a new band on for those. We're going to see how this one reacts at 10 degrees to this monster oak log, because my 18 horsepower is not going to like running 10-degree bands in a big ass oak like this. All right, so let's start taking it apart. I get you what I think is the best view, and like I've always said, once we get the top cut done, our clearance issues go away. Hopefully my log turner is going to be able to turn this thing, and hopefully we don't hit any metal. I don't see any staining, so let's see. So my line's at 17 3/4 here. I'm going to go up to 19 1/4 plus an eighth is 19 3/8. We're going to take it off right there and see if we can steal 1.5 inches. And the victory on this log is going to be in the bonus wood. So the band cut through it like it wasn't even there. That's nice. Looks like you do have a 2x6 in this. And we're going to come back and take it off at our line. I think it's 17 3/4. Throw that part in the carriage to be edged off later. Yep. All right, let's take it right there. I do know I need a little bit more throat room out there at the end. And that is one side done, and one extra board. Get this one off this side. We will get them back up on the mill later. I'd love to scrape these off and show it to you, but you know, it's just beautiful straight grain black oak. There's no real reason to. This is going to be trailer deck, and it's not like I'm making slabs for a customer or something like that. So I'm not going to scrape it off and show it to you unless I see something really cool. But our job now is to get this thing spun 90 degrees. Then we'll be well on our way. So let's hope this mill will spin it. It actually spun it pretty easy. One of the reasons is that the way it's sitting on the mill right now, with the small end down here and the big end down there. The big end's closer to the turner. I just want to do a measurement quick and make sure that I'm not too high on this end. Actually, we could take it right here. So somewhere on 8, let's do the top. So it's about 22. We're not trying to make it perfectly level. We're just trying to center up the cone about 22. It looks perfect. So we're going to do the same thing on this side as we did on the other side. We're going to come down to the line, see if we can steal a flitch above it. We can close down our throat a little bit. I do leave my log roller up because it's not anywhere where it's going to interfere with anything. So it's just adding stability to this right now. And let's get at it. So let's call it 17. We're going to come up to 18 3/8. No, we're going to come up to 18 5/8. That's 1.5 inches and 1/8. And we're going to take top off it right there. There's nothing else here. Obviously, because of the butt swell, this is going to look pretty thick, but it's pretty thin in the middle. It's so thin right here, there was no board in this at 1.5 inches thick. What we're going to do is get this big heavy thing off here without crushing our fingers. So we're going to come back, we're going to drop down to that 17 line, take a flitch that can be edged off later, and then we'll spin it again. Good thing is it's getting smaller. Get this one over to the side to be edged later. There's definitely a board in this. Not quite 2, but definitely 1. And it's spin it time again. We're getting close, guys. We're going to set our width now. We drop the toe boards. Don't forget to drop your toe boards. Don't forget to tip your bartender. Drop our box down a little bit. Hopefully this is going to be able to push it over. Nope. See if I can help it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down 12 1/4, make a mark, see if I can steal a board above it, and then we'll split it in half at 6 1/8, and then we'll spin it up and we'll mill it out. So we're looking at 12 1/4. That's 12 1/4 right there. And we're going to come up to 13 1/4, add a half, 13 3/4 and 1/8, that's 13 7/8. That looks like it. We're going to take it right there. Once again, we get this big chunk off here. There's nothing in it. I know it's going to look huge. There's nothing in it, guys. There's a big dip in the center here. So far, so good. The middle's sound. Try not to crush our fingers right here. And we're going to take ourselves 1.5 inch flitch off it and then split it in half. Another one to be edged off later. Good, there's no tension in it. That's good. And now we should be able to split this thing in half at 6 1/8. Make sure our stops are low enough. Now, as you can see from the end there was a little tension in that when I did that, when I cut it in half. That's going to be okay with these boards because if any of you have ever installed decking boards, you know they've got to be unbent. We'd rather they bow in the other direction, but it's still pretty simple to, if you take the gap that it's showing there and it's tight down the other end, the deflection is half of that gap. So that's all the clamping that it will take to fix it. Plus on 14-foot boards, they've been pretty easy. And it is going to cant out right about 12 inches clean. We'll see where that falls on scale. I have already set my 1.5 inch scale. I did it first thing this morning when I serviced the mill. So let's get these, we're going to get this top cut off here, get these thrown in with all of the slab wood, get this slab wood dumped in my firewood pile, and then we'll go to work on it. It's the battle of working by yourself. I know that looks really thick, but again, it's really not. There might be one in at, might be a 2x in this at like 6 feet, or 1.5 inches by 5, 6. Yeah, even 8 feet. I'm going to save this one. The other one tapers off. This is just the right width. Obviously, this is 6 1/8. There is a good board in the first 8 feet of this. So we're going to leave this one. We're not going to put it in the firewood pile. We'll put this back on the mill later and cut it off at 1.5 inches. All right, so we're going to start milling down through it on scale. And our top cut, like I said, was up here at like 12 3/4. And we have to get below 8 inches to be able to cut the cant out. So I have to offload some of them in the middle here. I get the Bobcat waiting. Okay, so we're going to come up above. All right, so I pulled them all off, inspected them all, scraped them all, and everything looks really good. We did have one little bit of a pith check in one of them on the side. Right now it's on the bottom. I was wrong on this. We're going to get 16 out of this, not 14. So we're going to get 16, 17, 18, 19 boards out of this whole thing. I'm pretty sure that we're only going to have one more log to do. I just have to make sure that I tag everything correctly so that I have an idea where I am and keep the list on the paper, because some of these obviously could be cut in half for the ramps and for the fantail and stuff like that. So we want to get done with the big long stuff first. We're going to cut a long log after this is done to do the rest of the 11s and the 11/7s, the 12 footers. And then we should be pretty close. If we can get this kind of yield out of a 12-foot log, we'll be done. So let me get cutting. You only have a few cuts to go here. So I'll have to split a line on the last one. All right, so as you can see, we got 8 there, and we got 8 up there. So we got 16 out of that log. There was a little tension in it. Anytime you're cutting 6-inch, 1.5-inch boards in oak like this, just flat sawn all the way through it, you're going to get some tension, but they'll be easily bent on the trailer. We have, like I said, we have 4 flitches down here. So we can get boards out of all 4 of them. Maybe even on that one right there, we might get 2 out of it. It's going to be close. That one looks like it maybe 1. Not sure on the bottom one, but I'm going to edge these off camera. I'm going to start keeping track of these. I got to make sure I tag all these. I'm going to tag them as all letter B's until I hit 14. And then the last 2, I will keep them as extras and put them in a different pile for now. For now, I'm just going to stick them on my bunks over here, and I've got to clean off my 16-foot bunk over there so that I can stack everything in the shade on that. But for right now, they're going on there. Then I'm going to get that cleaned off and get it so I can stack everything over there and keep track of it as I go. So let's do an outro. So that was fun cutting. It's always fun when the band cuts that good and we don't run into metal and everything goes that nice and clean. Josco did come in the middle. You didn't get to see him, but he did come and pick up his saw. He's very, very happy. Mommy took Danny to Falmouth, so you didn't get to see Danny in this video. I should keep some random clips of him. I'm always having to delete stuff for disk space, but I should keep some random clips so I can throw them in. But my goal right now is to get these labeled, make note of them so I know where I am, get them stacked, get my edgings cleaned up, and then I have to kind of look at my list and see what I need left and go pick an appropriate log. Now I already know that since I have to cut the 11/7 ones, I'll cut a 12-foot log, that I'm gonna have to cut a 12-foot log. So I have a couple of candidates up there. I'll measure the diameter, so I'm sure it will come out right. And after that one's done, we're gonna be really close, because just with the 2 extra boards there and what I have on the ground, that's going to, at 14 feet, 14.6 actually, that's going to cover a lot of the back. The extra boards there will cover a lot of the back, cut down to one section 7 foot, one section's like 4 foot and change. So like the trailer ramps would get covered by all this with no problem. So we're in a good spot right now. That was a great log to start with. I'm glad I didn't run into any problems with it. Somewhere along the line, I made a board that's a little bit thick. I didn't trust the measurement, or it's the one I started on. Could have been the one I started on too. I might have started an 1/8 inch too low, because that's what I ended up at the end, was an 1/8 inch too low. I ended up at 3 inches, and if I dropped down 1.5 inches, I would be losing the kerf. So I ended up exactly an 1/8 inch too low, and I could have started an 1/8 inch off. And that would have made sense in the middle when I was dropping down a little bit past my scale line and I was seeing it, but I was doing math saying, hey, my math's right. You know, I have to drop this much. I think I just started an 1/8 inch too low at the beginning. And then I probably did it right after that. So somewhere along the line, we split an 1/8 into 16ths. So you'll never notice it on a heavy equipment trailer deck. These boards stick up above the metal anyway. It's going to be perfectly flat. You know, you can't eyeball it perfect anyway. So we're really, really close. This came out great and got me a good jump start on this order. I will definitely, if I cut another log today, because it's going to take me a little while to sort through all this stuff right now. But if I do cut another log today, I'll be pretty much done with this order today. So my goal right now is to get cleaned up enough to get another log on the mill so we can cut the walnut logs tomorrow. I actually have 2 different customers coming in with 2 different logs each that want me to cut them while they're here. So that's going to be tomorrow morning. But want to get a video out. I always appreciate the watch. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Not a lot exciting happened on this one other than it was a big, huge log and it cut really pretty easy. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you hit that little thumbs up thing. That's the like. I already said that. Make sure you like. That's the thumbs up. Make sure you hit the little notifications bell so you know when another video comes out from us. We're getting out a few years on this HD36 now. I'm going to end up doing a review on it of where I am and how I think everything's gone. We are going to put the roller guide replacement on it. I kind of like where I am, but it is kind of a pain to have to level the band with shims on that side the way I have it, but I just love that static mount that I have on there. I can just throw a band on and go to work. Never have to worry about anything. So we are going to put the upgraded mount on with the 4-axis system on the drive side. Maybe next week, probably next week, maybe over the weekend. We'll see, because if I get to cut through all this, I'll be pretty much done cutting for till I get Ben Silva's timber frame order. I'm getting a lot of response on Facebook Marketplace right now. People looking for weird stuff. I'm picking up jobs, which is good. So that came back as soon as the dog days of summer started to wane down a little bit. And we got into August, all that traffic came back. So right now I'm doing pretty well. I went from slow to seems like a couple things every day, paying jobs every day coming in. So it's really good. Things are really good right now, and let's hope it stays that way. Thanks again for the watch, and for now, Pirate Solutions out.